So Mark Sanchez is someone whose career I've been following ever since he was in college. Like, did you know the quarterback at USC before him was named John David Booty? From backing up Booty to the Bud Fumble. I know an ass man when I see one. But Mark was one of those quarterbacks who had one good year in college and then declared for the draft. And while that doesn't really pan out in the way it's supposed to in most cases, Mark was the odd man out. And in his first 2 seasons with the Jets, he led them to back-to-back AFC championship games. He's the kind of quarterback I wanted on my favorite team. I mean, he won more playoff games in his first 2 years than the Bengals did in the last 30 years. But over the next 8 years, the drop-off from almost making it to the Super Bowl twice to where he retired was like that of a quarterback with tons of off-the-field issues. Like, if you looked at his career stats, you would have been like, what the fuck happened in 2012? Yeah, he might have had a slight decline from the year before, but nowadays, what is your rookie quarterback leading you into anything that isn't an early vacation? But after 2012, he was downgraded and diagnosed with backup fever, baby, and never became that guy who went to back-to-back AFC championships again. Fading to black was kind of dramatic, wasn't it? But after his football career ended, like most people with a recognizable name, they moved to broadcasting, and in 2021, he became a college football analyst for Fox, and then later a color commentator. Not colored as in brown, I mean, football term, look it up. But basically, when you're watching a football game on TV, there's a guy who's describing the play as it happens, and then there's the guy who comes in after, like John Madden, and says, wow, that's a good play right here. This guy made over this guy, and then boom, touchdown. Basically, he was hired to be John Madden, only he was Mark Sanchez. And it wasn't like he was this standout commentator like Tony Romo or Tom Brady, but being a former quarterback, he knew exactly what he was talking about, which is what people liked about him. Kinda like Brady Quinn, coincidentally the guy who replaced him, but like Brady Quinn was someone who had a recognizable name even though he didn't even have one good year in the NFL. But we were all like, dude knows ball. And for 3 years, Mark Sanchez was showing us his ball knowledge. He was dangling his ball knowledge in front of our face. He was plopping us, he was teabagging us.
All right, new details now surrounding the apparent stabbing of former NFL quarterback Mark Sanchez. The Fox Sports analyst is now under arrest, facing 3 charges related to an argument with a 69-year-old man.
No way, Tony Shalhoub's Breaking Bread premieres tonight at 9? What can't the Shaloubster do? But you heard that right. Mark was arrested and charged after he got into a physical altercation with the 70-year-old truck driver, which led to him getting stabbed 3 times. Stab me once, shame on me. Stab me twice, shame on you. Stab me 3 times. Now, I did mention in my last video that this video was going to come out yesterday, but as I'm editing my other video, more information just kept coming out. And then an hour later, more information kept coming out. And then an hour later, a bunch more information kept coming out. So I'm just gonna make a whole nother video. But one of the things I saw was a picture of the guy who Mark beat up on his hospital bed. Now, I'm not going to unblur this picture, but you can tell by how many red squares there are that he is in pretty bad condition. Like, you remember when PC Principal beat up Cartman and left him looking like this? No joke, that is what this guy looks like. Like, there's no security footage of the beating, but just imagine that Mark is PC Principal and Cartman is the truck driver. Like, it's crazy. It says the truck driver had to pepper spray Mark, and then when that only got Mark angrier, he then had to pull his knife out and still walked away looking worse than Mark did. Yesterday, I didn't have any of this footage, but now seeing that Mark is able to walk away with 3 stab wounds while this other guy who literally looks like Mark tried to cut a Joker smile into his face is in his hospital bed, then I think it's safe to say that Mark will never call another NFL game again. And not to mention, most likely face some jail time. Like, all these charges when I was first making this video were misdemeanors. But after realizing the extent of the injuries Mark caused, they bumped these up to felonies, or at least one of them.
This morning, former NFL quarterback Mark Sanchez facing an upgraded felony charge after an argument over the weekend turned violent, ending with Sanchez stabbed and bloodied, seen here stumbling away in this video obtained by the New York Post.
Once we were provided with additional information about the victim's current medical condition, it became clear to us that additional charges needed to be filed.
Now, before this, he was kind of facing some jail time. He was for sure going to get fined tens to probably hundreds of thousands of dollars. But now that they bumped these up to felonies, he's now looking at some Mando jail time, baby. Especially with how this guy looks. Like, there was no way that this guy had the knife. He probably thought he stabbed Mark, but he was just getting fucked up so bad that his knife inadvertently hit Mark 3 times. Because I'm telling you, when this guy heals from his injuries, his face is going to look like this. Okay, maybe not this bad. Like maybe what was that dude from the motorcycle show, Sons of Anarchy? He's gonna look like that dude. And how this article describes how everything went down just makes it that much more worse for Sanchez. Like the guy he beat up was literally doing his job and exchanging the hotel's used oil that they use for cooking. When all of a sudden, a drunk and belligerent Mark Sanchez walks up to him and starts saying, "Hey, you can't be here. What are you gonna do? Stop me from making you leave, little bitch boy? I'm Mark motherfucking Sanchez." Even saying that he spoke to the manager and that they said he can't be there. How drunk do you have to be to think the hotel you're staying at's problems are yours? This dude has a fucking NFL game to call in the morning. Let the dude collect his oil, dog. You know what it was? Mark was probably having a good time in his room, and then he heard the loud beeping from the truck backing up, and he's like, "Hey, what the fuck is this?" And then goes down there and just starts all this. But of course, when this happens, the truck driver is like, "What are you talking about? The hotel schedules me to do this. What are you doing here?" And then that's when it says Mark climbed into the cabin of the truck, insisting that the manager said he couldn't be there, which is actually hilarious when you think about it. This 70-year-old man has been delivering this hotel's oil for who knows how many years, and then all of a sudden this Mexican guy is telling him that he can? I'm surprised ICE wasn't called. Like, yeah, did he say Mark Sanchez? Yeah, not in my country. But then it says the truck driver then goes around the building trying to find a security guard, only for Mark Sanchez to follow him like a fucking drunk Michael Myers, which is when things got physical, leading to Mark getting stabbed. Now, without any context, this looks like someone who was very drunk who just threw up on their shirt. Compare that to the truck driver's injuries, and it looks like Batman himself gave this guy the biggest dose of vengeance he's ever felt in his whole life. Like it says Mark was stabbed 3 times in the chest. The truck driver was beat up with 2 of these. I've seen enough horror movies to know that just 1 stab to the chest is enough to stop someone, let alone 3. Now it does say that Mark was later found at a nearby bar, probably to brag about the fight he just got in. If you think I look bad, then you should see the other guy. Hey man, is that actual blood on your shirt? You're still leaking blood. No, it's ketchup. You leak ketchup when you get stabbed. This fucking guy. I think I might have to hurt you next. Mark motherfucking Sanchez style. Now, since Mark has been arrested, he is most likely handcuffed to his hospital bed, which is only adding insult to injury. And then on top of that, if it wasn't obvious enough, the truck driver is now suing Mark and Fox because bigger payday, baby, and for leaving him permanently disfigured.
As we mentioned, the 69-year-old victim is now suing Mark Sanchez and the Fox Corporation. That lawsuit claims Sanchez's actions caused severe permanent disfigurement, physical injuries, and emotional distress to the victim.
So you can see I'm not joking. Like, unless Mark Sanchez is secretly fucking Wolverine, then there is no reason that someone who wasn't stabbed 3 times looks worse than someone who was. But in this lawsuit, it says that Fox knew or should have known about the defendant Sanchez's unfitness as an employee, propensity for drinking, and or harmful conduct. Despite this knowledge or the availability of this knowledge, defendant Fox Corporation hired defendant Sanchez as an employee, retained defendant Sanchez as an employee, and or failed to supervise defendant. Now look, I get that they're trying to make him look as bad as possible, but other than eating a hot dog during a game, the last time he was arrested was back in 2006 when he was in college, and that had nothing to do with him being drunk. There isn't even a video of him at bars going crazy. Like, if they had videos of Mark like they do of Johnny Manziel, 1, Fox would never hire him, and 2, they would have mentioned that he has a drinking problem and not say that Fox knew about it and was trying to cover it up. If an athlete like Mark Sanchez was known for getting so drunk that he assaults people, this wouldn't have been the first time we're hearing about him doing something like this. What he did was horrible, don't get me wrong, but like, Fox has lawyers that would make your lawyers shit their balls. Like, don't get me wrong, because of all the evidence and the witnesses and the Joker scar, he's going to get a lot of money out of them, but when you start trying to make this worse than it already is, they're going to call you out on that. Regardless if they're at fault, they want to give you the least amount of money possible. As of now though, it says that police are waiting for his toxicology report to see if he was on some enhancers with that alcohol, you know what I mean? They literally want to know how alcohol could make someone do this. And it's like, have you never lived next to an abusive couple? Wah, 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 don't hit me. Wah, that hurts. The kids are watching. But yeah guys, Mark Sanchez has essentially ruined his career and possibly his life. Like, unless some new footage comes out of that truck driver starting everything, then it looks like Brady Quinn is going to be calling a lot more games this season. But knowing what NFL players can do and then come back from, Mark Sanchez might still have a chance. So tomorrow, peace.